Armored Core Lore. Transports for Armored Cores. Getting armored cores from point A to B has been shown throughout the series, mostly by flatbed trucks, helicopter, or plane. However, today I would like to take a deeper look into the world of transporting armored cores and the vehicles that do this job. So where better to start than in the original Armored Core, Project Phantasma, and Master of Arena. It's here we start with the Barracuda, the name coming from the Armored Core official data book, page 89. It's described as a tilt jet, which, to keep it simple, is an aircraft propulsion configuration that is used for vertical takeoff and landing. The Barracuda does this using turbofan jet engines mounted on both sides of the fuselage. It also has hangar doors on the underside and the rear of the fuselage, allowing an AC to be lowered from the air. Although you may have noticed, most armored cores will jump out of the aircraft rather than be lowered. This is because, as Armored Core 5, the facts books will mention, armored cores can absorb the impact using their boosters and auxiliary equipment. Now, we never see the inside of a Barracuda, however it's from the text on page 89 which reads, "It also has hangar doors on the underside and rear of fuselage, allowing an AC to be lowered from the air." It is possible inside the aircraft is a winch system to lower an armored core to the ground, but how the armored core is held down during transport is up for debate, as either the armored core is operational and can hold itself, or perhaps magnets are used to keep it in place during transport. With the Barracuda being the only shown way to transport an armored core in the original Armored Cores, Armored Core 2 is up next. It's here there is a few ways of transporting an armored core, coming from the Armored Core Mechanical Guide, pages 163 and 165. On page 163, we have examples like the AC Transporter Helicopter, which the book describes as a transport helicopter developed primarily to rapidly transport ACs to operational areas. Its two counter-rotating rotors enable high-speed movement, and it can fly with up to 6 ACs suspended from a crane on the underside of the fuselage. The rear of the fuselage is a payload compartment, making it suitable to also carry personnel and supplies. Once it arrives at the operational area, the ACs are released in the air. The underside of the fuselage is reinforced to withstand anti-air fire. However, it is only armed with a single anti-ground cannon, making it less suited to combat. I will also mention here, as it's on the same page, that it's mentioned that all air units made for use on Mars are much larger than they are on Earth. Although no reason is given for this, it's noted to be a trend when making Mars aircraft. As such, production of larger aircrafts for Mars became the norm. Another craft mentioned on this page is the AC Transporter. Noted to have higher speed than the AC Transport helicopters, making it possible to transport armored cores to their destinations faster than the helicopter. Unlike the helicopter, this transporter has a rear hatch which ACs are airdropped out of to their destination. Moving on to the final transport used for armored cores in Armored Core 2, we have the spaceship or starship, as both names are used on the same page, page 165. The example we have is a Zeo-Matrix spaceship, which is broken down into 3 sections: the ship itself, the AC landing pods, and the AC deck on the ship. The spaceship itself is said to be quite small in size, designed for armored core transport rather than interplanetary travel. The best example we have apart from these pictures in the book is in the opening movie of the Armored Core 2 game. It's here we can see these ships work in threes, and the book notes that these ships rarely are seen working independently. The interior of a ship like this is broken down into 3 areas: a control block, an engine room, and an AC hangar/deck. It's in here the ship can fit 10 armored cores within it, and comes equipped with facilities to repair, assemble, and perform maintenance on the ACs. While on the subject, the mechanical guide also goes into detail about an AC deck, a special bed installed inside the spacecraft to ensure maintenance work can be carried out even in zero gravity. Work cranes, robotic arms, and weapon containers are placed all around it, allowing it to perform all needed functions despite the limited space. The bottom of the bed is also connected to the drop catapult by a linear rail, which is designed to send an AC into a drop capsule in an extremely short time when ready to launch. And since we're talking about drop capsules, or landing pods as the book also calls them, the pods are simple in structure, emphasizing on heat resistance and shock resistance. After a landing pod is released from the ship and it reaches a certain altitude, the pod splits open and the AC must decrease its descending speed on its own and perform a landing sequence. A final note to make on the space/starship is that the craft itself has no way to enter the atmosphere of a planet and has no armaments on it. Armored Core 3 to Last Raven only has 2 transporters to show, and both have very little information on them. These are the CO-6 Stork and the Cranwell. No book I have found goes into detail about the aircrafts. However, it is fair to suggest that the CO-6 Stork shares the same idea as the AC transporter from the original Armored Core, while the Cranwell operates much like the AC transporter helicopter from the original Armored Core. Moving on to Armored Core 4 to For Answer, there is one main transport seen and used here, being a transport helicopter, which while we see very little of apart from the inside, there are 2 others I would like to talk about before talking about it. The first being the original transport helicopter from Project Force, the placeholder name given to Armored Core 4 while in development. It can be seen on page 36 of the book Armored Core 4 Designs, and it's from this page we can read, "This is a prototype image of a transport aircraft that was decided upon in consultation with the director. The aircraft inside is secured by a frame that at first glance looks like a restraint, and it's stored inside a container. At this stage, storing it in a container didn't actually mean much, but as the setting formed around the Pojima particles that make up the primal armor was decided, it began to take meaning later on. The helicopter landing legs are not tires, but rather application of AC technology. This kind of repurposing of technology can be seen in various parts of the Armored Core world. Ultimately, this transport aircraft was never made due to the length of the film and the amount of work required. Another transport, granted this is for normals or mass-produced Armored Cores in Armored Core 4 and For Answer, comes from an Interior Union concept page in the same book, page 169. It is labelled as a hover landing craft. With a propulsion engine located in the back left of the craft, which has a vectored nozzle, and its direction can be changed by changing the angle of the nozzle, a levitation fan on its back end, an air intake for the auxiliary lift engine, and the skirt of the craft is covered with armor, making it not very visible. This hover landing craft is also able to transport 2 mass-produced ACs if they are kneeling the whole time. We then come to the AC transport helicopter used in the game. It can be seen on page 48 of the same book and page 65 of the book A New Order for Nexts, which also names it this on the pages. It is a tilt-rotor aircraft about 50 meters wide and 60 meters in length. It has 4 engines, 2 on each side of it. Once again, it's on this page we can read what Daisuke Sataka wanted with this aircraft, like before with the Project Force aircraft. The transport aircraft was designed with the image of handling hazardous materials in an enclosed space, just like the garage. The initial rough images shows that the staff performing maintenance work inside were also taking measures against Kojima. In accordance with the regulation for the transportation of hazardous materials, Kojima technology, the aircraft is completely sealed and kept at cryogenic temperatures until it reaches the operational area. This dim frost coating peels off when it falls to the ground. When it falls, the thick white material on the surface of the aircraft breaks as if it were being born, revealing the primal armor. In the rough draft, the AC technology was supposed to be used in the legs, but this was omitted in the final design, with only the technology reuse being a sensor similar to that of an AC at the tip of the fuselage. There is also information about the hatch Lynx have seen when starting a mission. It's in this Armored Core 4 art book. We can learn that this is the view inside the helicopter, and inside of this cargo bay is also kept at a very low temperature, reflecting the cryogenic temperature the aircraft is kept at. Armored Core 5 and Verdict Day is up next, starting first with Armored Core 5's main transporter, being the F-21C series. A large helicopter developed in large numbers, these became the main go-to for migrants who would use them for transporting mercenaries with armored cores, along with cargo to make a living. As the craft also was made with heavy armor all over it, and it was so large, it was customized to suit a number of combat roles too, from long range using missiles, being a bomber, and others. The Armored Core 5 book, The Fact, tells this about the F-21C series, along with showing us 4 types, one to cover each of the weapon types, kinetic, chemical, and energy, as seen on screen now, along with one named the B-44 Rock, which seems more made towards fighting than cargo use. Page 69 of the Fact book also shows us that the F-21C series of helicopters have a chain gun in their center and 2 on both sides of the aircraft, along with how the craft can land on 4 strong legs and store these legs too in the body of the craft. The final part to talk about on this series of helicopters is that when carrying an armored core, it is common to attach a restraining device to the bottom of the helicopter and tether the AC to it. We also know, thanks to Mission 3, Rusting Steel in Armored Core Verdict Day, that a winch system is used. Armored Core Verdict Day brings in a new transporter helicopter, namely the Gaia A44-8L, the Spect A44-8C, and the Shawan A44-8C. It's here that these once transport helicopters have embraced their offensive capabilities, now using laser cannons and autocannons, along with some using missiles under the fuselage and being bombers. Some even added more shields to their front and others did not, like the 2 examples on screen, the Gaia A44-8L. These helicopters are more used in combat roles than in Armored Core 5, and the 3 major powers of this time are seen as the ones to push this idea. But the use of transport vehicles, such as flatbeds, is noted to still be used, but by a minority. As while it is a safer way to transport an armored core due to being able to use underground tunnels and retreat right away if attacked, it does take much longer to reach destinations. Finally, we come to Armored Core 6, where, well, the transport used by 621 is very much a mobile garage helicopter. We can look around the inside in-game as well as pictures from the book Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon official artwork, which puts the helicopter used for traveling in with the garage section of the book, pages 202 to 211. This helicopter garage very much shares the same idea as the AC deck we have talked about earlier, with walkways that can be moved out the way or closer to the AC, robotic arms for working on this AC, its own launcher that can spin around to launch an AC out the back of the box carried by this helicopter, and weapon storage by the AC for weapons to be used on the missions, with a computer also inside. As for the helicopter itself, there is not much data on the craft. However, it shares all the traits from the Cranwell and the F-21C series. The 4 rotors, the heavy armoured body, and the ability to only drop ACs into battle. This helicopter also comes with a spotlight, as seen when 621 is picked up from the Iceworm mission, and seems to lack any form of weapons to defend itself from attackers. With all this said, to add in some special mentions which I did not cover, there is the Great Wall, which we see Raiden being put in to protect it. Along with this, it is highly likely that the Reaper Squad also used the remains of such an armed fort or the fort itself to transport their ACs and weapons. With this, the report on Armored Core transportation comes to a close.